It's summer and you're heading to the airport and you're about to board a Boeing. Should you be worried? Look, the answer's no. Every year, over 4 billion people travel by plane. You would have to travel on a plane every day for the next 4 million years before you met with an aircraft accident. And even then, if you were involved in a crash, there's a 95% chance that you would survive. However, Boeing has been in the news recently for all the wrong reasons. There have been growing safety concerns about the Boeing 737 MAX 8, which has led to the aircraft being grounded across the globe. So what actually happened? Well, on the 10th of March 2019, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed in Ethiopia, killing 157 people. It happened only a few months after another flight, Lion Air 610, crashed into the Java Sea off the coast of Indonesia, killing 189 people. These two tragic airline disasters had something in common: the Boeing 737 MAX 8. The Boeing 737 was first launched in April 1967. It's just over 52 years old, but during this period it has become one of Boeing's most successful aircraft. The company has over the decades made extensive modifications and upgrades to the aircraft to keep it competitive. So why has this latest version caused Boeing so many problems? Well, Airbus and Boeing are fierce rivals. They're the world's largest aircraft manufacturers. The competition between the two is fierce, so if one of them launches a better product, the other is set to lose out substantially. So when Airbus announced it was going to update its A320 and add new, more powerful and more fuel-efficient engines, Boeing had no choice but to respond. If it didn't, its flagship airliner, the Boeing 737, would be at risk. This is why Boeing launched the Boeing 737 MAX. It's Boeing's longest range 737 thanks to its new larger and more efficient engines. In fact, it's Boeing's best ever selling jet. Sales of this aircraft absolutely dwarf the sales of all other aircraft that Boeing has produced in the commercial market. The reason is because of the type of jet that the Boeing 737 is. You see, the way we're flying is changing. These days, airliners are flying smaller and more fuel-efficient planes that can fly further. In fact, in the United States, 9 out of 10 passenger flights are on these smaller planes. That's why the Boeing 737 MAX is so important to Boeing's future. So what was the problem with the plane? Well, the new engines on the Boeing 737 MAX are much larger, and so they have to sit higher on the wing of the plane in order to fit underneath the aircraft. Unfortunately, what this can do is cause the plane to pitch up too much, which can lead to the aircraft stalling. Now, Boeing's solution to this problem was a complex system that was designed to fix this defect. It was called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS for short. The way it works is that the sensors on the nose of the plane detect if the aircraft is pitching up too much. If it is, then stabilizer adjustments are automatically made at the tail of the plane to push the plane's nose downwards. Unfortunately, the system failed in these two accidents because what happened was that the false readings from these sensors caused the planes to suddenly dive, causing the planes to crash. It's tragic because this could have been avoided if Boeing had designed a brand new airframe without these defects in the first place. So where does this leave Boeing as a company? Well, last week it released its first quarter earnings results for 2019. Obviously, this announcement was always going to be less about delivering results and much more about what the impacts these groundings would have on Boeing as a company. Now, it is true the company has pulled back on its earnings guidance for the remainder of 2019. It's also paused its share repurchase program, but of course none of this should be too surprising given the recent events that have occurred. In fact, investors seem relieved that Boeing could actually put a price tag on what the cost of these groundings will be on the company. It believes that the slowdown in production will cost Boeing $1 billion. Now, although this sounds bad, this has actually allowed investors to finally find a way to quantify the risk that this event has posed towards the business. In the end, it appears that Boeing has managed to avoid a liquidity or financial crisis. Nonetheless, this was a company-specific risk that Boeing could have completely avoided. In fact, it really was an unnecessary setback for the company at a time when expectations are that global economic growth is going to slow. This is a cyclical company whose fortunes are closely in line with the health of the global economy, so this crisis really couldn't have come at a worse time. However, Boeing is also an extremely important company for the US economy. It employs over 160,000 people. It also has thousands of contractors who in turn create a huge number of US jobs. Plus, it's extremely important to the US defense industry. It's very unlikely that the US government would allow Boeing to go under. It would be economically painful, and it would also be a national security threat to the country. Would I fly on a Boeing jet? Well, yes. But would I invest in the company? Right now, I'm not so sure. I think there are more interesting investment stories out there. Hi everyone, if you liked the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.